Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is Colton with Grand Valley Sporting Goods, and today we are talking about the 2026 lineup from Bowtech. So, without further ado, this is the new Alliance from Bowtech. So, running through the specs real quick. We've got an axle-to-axle length of 30.5 inches, brace height of 6 7/16 inches, draw length range of 26 to 31 inches, mass weight of 4.09 pounds, speed rating up to 338 feet per second. That's going to be on performance mode, and draw weight range of 60, 65, 70, and 75 pounds. So they added a 60 and 75 pound option to the lineup, which has been really needed for a handful of years now. So, kind of diving into what's new here. They've changed a pretty decent amount on it this year. So completely new riser design. They shaved quite a bit of weight off of this compared to previous models. You can see that the riser is quite a bit skinnier. They have much larger cutouts than previous generations. And I mean, you can definitely grab this compared to other models and feel that it is physically lighter. Next, they do have a slightly changed cam system. It's kind of a similar profile to other cam systems that they have, but it does provide a different feel. Still the same mod design to where you get comfort and performance settings on it. They changed up the limb pocket on this a little bit. So this is a 100% aluminum piece pocket. They changed up the deadlock system. So that's kind of a big one for this year. So deadlock system has been great since it came out, which led to other companies following suit to develop a pressless tuning system. So they just gave it a little bit of a facelift. So if there was a complaint about the deadlock system, which I absolutely love, it's a great system, but it's really hard to tell, which direction you're moving the cam, how much you're moving it. So they upgraded this with finer threads in that adjustment, so you can really get a good fine tune with this. They also changed the position of it, so where it used to be kind of integrated with the axle itself that's going in the center of the limb. Now it's on the top of the limb, which really a lot of companies are going to. But it also has a indicator to it that's laser etched into that deadlock system, so you can see how far you've moved it, which is really nice. One thing I should mention too, and I think is really important to know for the people that are at home tuning, with the old deadlock system, you're able to leave that unlocked and make adjustments and still be able to shoot it. With this system, so you have 2 locking screws on each side, and you have to make sure that you lock that down before you shoot it. I asked my rep about that, and he said yes, absolutely make sure that you make sure to do that. Next thing that they changed was they added 2 stabilizer mounting positions, which really I think is a benefit overall, just because it gives you more opportunity to just kind of shift weight a little bit and just kind of make it a little bit more personal to you. So another thing that they still have is the grip lock system, which is kind of cool because you can adjust that and get a proper grip angle. And then I believe they also have different covers that they're coming out with, so you can get different profiles on it. I could be wrong on that, but I do feel like I remember hearing that somewhere. They still have their center mass sight mounting system, which frankly, in my opinion, it's to get around patents for like the bridge lock system from Matthews. They did have their center mass system going through the riser, and I think they probably got in trouble for that because last year they came out with it mounting on the inside like this, which it's it's a good mounting system. It seems secure, but from a consumer standpoint, I really just wish that they would go to a Picatinny mount, just like frankly any other manufacturer does. It gives you a lot more sight options, and I'm a fan of the center mass sight. It's made by Black Gold. I've ran Black Gold for years. But just to have more sight options out there that you can run. Now, I could be wrong. There could be different sight companies that are offering this, or maybe adapters that you can use. So if I'm wrong, leave it in the comments. I'd definitely like to see them. But yeah, that is one downfall, is just kind of the limited sight options if you want to run the center mass system. Otherwise, you just have the traditional spots to mount a sight. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the new bow. So we have all shot these. Personally, I think the draw cycle has changed, a pretty good amount compared to its predecessors. Now, I'm not going to say if it's necessarily better or worse just because draw cycle, everybody's going to have a different perception of that. I would go to your local dealer, and if you're in the West Michigan area, check us out. We're in Allendale. And try it yourself, but it is definitely a different draw cycle compared to, really what they've had for several years now. So anyways, that is the new Alliance from Bowtech. And here is the new Alliance 33. So going through the specs again, axle to axle length of 33 inches, brace height is 6 1/16 of an inch. Draw length range from 27 to 32, so those that are a long draw, this is a good option to look at. Mass weight of 4.25 pounds, so shaved a pretty good amount of weight off compared to the proven 34. Up to 334 feet per second, again, on performance mode with that. And then draw weight options of 60, 65, 70, and 75 pounds. And again, really all the new stuff that's on the Alliance is going to be on this bow. It's just a little bit more stretched out, a little bit shorter brace height, but for those who are looking for a good stable option, a good 3D bow, as well as a hunting bow, and those of you that are a longer draw length like myself, this would be a good option to look at. A little bit stabler platform too. I will say the Bowtechs, they're I believe they're a true parallel system, or maybe not quite as parallel, which is really good for holding at full draw. It's just keeping that bow wanting to go a little bit more forward when you're at full draw, so it tends to be a little bit more stable because of that. That's why you see it more in target bows. But again, you really can't complain about the tunability of Bowtech. So with the deadlock system, your different options to mount stabilizers, the adjustable grip. Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing that you can't argue with is Bowtech does focus on making a accurate tunable bow. And another thing I didn't mention too is they have a really good quiver mounting system that is integrated into the riser of the bow, just like, frankly, now that I think about it, really any other flagship company out there. If you didn't know, the same company that owns Bowtech also owns tight spot quivers, which before all these companies were kind of coming out with integrated quiver options like the Low Pro One Piece from Matthews, Hoyt's quiver. They really made a good universal quiver, and just like the name, tight spots, it's really tight to the bow, shoots pretty decent on it. So the fact that tight spot makes this in conjunction with Bowtech, it's just a really good solid quiver option. So if you're shooting this bow, I would definitely look at going with that quiver, because honestly, you're not really going to regret it. And then one thing I forgot to mention too, does have the integrated mounting system for the rest option as well. So yeah, other than that, I think it's definitely a contender for this year. Like I said, go to your local dealer, give this bow a try, and do yourself a favor. Try out you know, really any other brand in your price point. I think if you maybe say didn't like brand X a couple years in the past, they're completely different now. So if you're gonna spend this amount of coin on a flagship bow, and odds are accessories to go with it, do yourself a favor and just try everything in your price point. Worst case, you don't like it, you put it back on the shelf. At least that way you know that you tried it and you didn't like it. Or you could be surprised. You could be coming in for thinking one brand is your number one, and you might walk out with a different bow. So yeah, other than that, we'll get to the speed test here. So again, if you haven't seen our speed test before, because I know we're getting a lot of new viewers, we're doing all the flagship bows. So Bowtech is last up to bat. So we've done Hoyt, Matthews, PSC, Darton. Yeah, I think that's all of them. Testing them at a 30, 29, and 28-inch draw, really just to show cam efficiency. It's kind of also to see if these companies are really being honest about their speed ratings. But it's just more so you have a comparison to kind of see where that fall off is. Some have a 8 feet per second difference from say 30 to 29. Some have a 12 feet per second difference. So that's the main reason why we wanted to show you. And we do test these all out on what we feel the average consumer is going to test these bows at. So we're not necessarily doing speed mods, with an exception for the Matthews, just because they've ran that mod for many years. They just came out with a smooth draw option, which we did show that testing as well. But this Bowtech we're going to be running in the comfort setting rather than performance. With the Dartons, we ran their standard mod. Hoyt, we just like everything else, we kept at the 85% let off, just because that's what average consumers are going to shoot these at. There's plenty of other videos to where these are, say, switched to performance. They're set to a lower let off, which that's what these companies are going to test their speed rating at. But we just wanted to kind of show a more relatively realistic speed test to it. So anyway, appreciate you guys watching so far. Enjoy the speed test. All right, so we're going to start our speed test here. We're starting off with 30-inch draw. Now, both of these are going to be in the comfort setting as well. Just like our other reviews, we're shooting these basically in the settings that most consumers are going to shoot them at. So we're not going to use speed mods or performance setting or anything like that. And then just like the other tests, we're shooting the Easton Sonic exactly 350 grains, and then all these are 70 pounds. So we'll start with the Alliance. .320. .319. And just like the others, we'll take the faster number out of the two. And now for the Alliance 33. .318. .319. All right, we'll set these up to 29 inches and do it again. All right, so Drew and I set these to 29 inches. Let's see how they perform. Start with the Alliance. .310. About a 10-foot loss. $311. 9-foot loss. It's getting a little tight for a lefty. All right, now for the 33. Another 310. And 310. All right, we'll set these up to 28. Okay, we got these two 28 inches, starting with the Alliance. $301. $300. Okay, now for the 33. Another 300. $299. All right, so another 10-foot loss on each. Okay, so that might conclude our speed test for 2026. I think Bowtech might be coming out with a couple more bows at the ATA show, so once we get those, and if we do, we'll add them to the speed test. But as always, we appreciate you guys watching. This is kind of the fun part for us because this kind of gives us a little feedback for kind of the more, into it customers that are worried about like speed loss, stuff like that. So we just kind of wanted to show you the raw details of that. But other than that, just make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Just really helps us grow the channel. And other than that, we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.